Okay, for target 7A, the main things that we need to remember are the leading term is going to tell you a lot about what the graph looks like. So the leading term, I'm going to take the first bit of everything with an x and the exponent. So the x, if there was an exponent up here, I would use it. There isn't. And the x, and if there was an exponent, again, I would use it. So I have 3 times x squared times x times x. And if there is no exponent, we can say that there's an exponent of 1. So that tells me that it is 3x to the 4th for my leading term. That means my degree is 4 and my leading coefficient is 3. And since it's a positive leading coefficient, my end behavior will look something like this. Now, if you go into Desmos and graph this and it does not look like this, you can go back and see whether you typed it in correctly or not, and also go back and check that you did your leading term correctly, because your work needs to be done by hand and it needs to match your graph. Okay, for the constant or y-intercept, remember for a y-intercept, it is, the point is going to look like 0 comma something that is a y. And so my x is 0. Sorry about that. So I will put in 0 for x to figure out what the y is in the original equation. So I will take y equals 3 times 0 squared, and then 0 minus 4, and then 0 plus 2. I really should have had more room for this, sorry. So that's 3 times 0 times, it doesn't matter, because that is just going to be 0. So my y-intercept is 0 comma 0. Max number of turning points is just degree minus 1, so that is 3. And then the x-intercepts with multiplicity, I'm just going to take each factor and set it equal to 0. So this x squared counts as one factor with a multiplicity of 2. So I know that it's going to bounce at x equals 0. And then x minus 4 equals 0. I got to add 4 to both sides to get the x-intercept, and it has a multiplicity of 1, so it will cross on the graph. And then x plus 2 equals 0. If I subtract 2 from both sides, I will get x equals negative 2 for my x-intercept. Again, multiplicity of 1, which means it will cross. So a nice thing to remember here is that multiplicity is the exponent on the factor. So since there is no exponent on x minus 4 and x plus 2, I could put a 1. Since there is an exponent of 2 on that, it's just x factor, that is a multiplicity of 2 and a bounce. So then my sketch, which I will also check with Desmos, it should start high, cross at negative 2, come up and bounce at 0, and then cross at 4. And it needs to go through 0, 0 for the y-intercept. So it's going to start high. Let's see, negative 2 to 4. So it's going to start high, cross here, bounce, and then cross at positive 4. And so that's my y-intercept and x-intercept. That's a cross, that's a bounce, that's a cross. All right, so for part B, my leading term, again, I'm going to take the part with the x and raise it to the exponent. Here, my part with the x is the negative x and then the positive x, and there are no exponents here, so that would just be like to the first power. So it's x to the third times negative x to the first times x to the first. So that is a -1, right? Because there's a -1 right here. So -1 x to the fourth. Nope, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, -1 x to the fifth is my leading term. So my degree is 5. My leading coefficient is negative. So my end behavior, it's going to start high and end low. Yes, it could have more wiggles than that. We will see. So the constant or y-intercept, once again, I'm going to put 0 in for the x, just like I did above. I really don't have room to do that here, so I'm just going to do it over here to the side. So for my y-intercept, I'm going to put 0 in for x, and so I have 0 minus 1 cubed, and 4 minus 0, and 0 plus 2. And of course, I am multiplying all of those numbers, whatever I get from those. And so we'll have -1 cubed times 4 times 2, and -1 cubed is -1. And so I get, for f of 0, I get -8, and that corresponds to the point 0, -8. So my constant is 0, -8. We will leave you more room on the test to actually show your work. For my roots of multiplicity, I'm going to say x minus 1 equals 0. I can add 1 to both sides there. And x equals 1 has a multiplicity of 3 because of the exponent on the factor. So that is a wiggle on the graph. 4 minus x equals 0. I can add x to both sides. And then 4 equals x. That has an exponent of 1, so that's going to cross on the graph and give us a multiplicity of 1. And then x plus 2 equals 0. I'll subtract 2 from both sides, and x equals -2. Again, exponent of 1 on the factor. So multiplicity of 1 and crosses on the graph. So that means for my detailed sketch, I need to go through the graph at -2 on the x, 1 on the x, and 2, 3, 4 on the x. And then I need to cross the graph at -8 on the y. And so I know I'm going to cross at -2, wiggle through 1, and cross at 4. So I'm going to cross at -2. Now I'm going to come back up and cross at 1, or wiggle at 1, but I got to go through -8. Then I'll do a wiggle, and then I will cross at 4. So I need to label this as -8, and I'll label this as -2, 1, and 4. And then I will also label that, like, hey, by the way, this is supposed to be a wiggle, just in case you didn't know that I am trying to wiggle right there. So that is 7A and B. Please make sure that you show your work and check with Desmos. They should match.